Now, when we look back on the Ramsey trek and we look back on many of your treks, and we've used these case studies to put this EntreLeadership system in place, we see that as you spin around these, you end up leveling up. Sometimes you spin around them 4 or 5 times, but 4 or 5 times per stage, or sometimes 1 time per stage, but you end up going through 5 distinct measurable stages of business. And this is where we want to camp for a little while. The first stage of business is the treadmill operator. The treadmill operator is, there's not enough hours in the day. I need to hire my first employee. God help me. I got Russ Carroll, my first team member instead. We rented a tiny little 800 square foot office, and we hired our first lady receptionist there. She was the bookkeeper, the receptionist. She did everything that Russ and I didn't do. And she lasted about 4 weeks. And she was yelling at everybody in the office. And I'm like, we're a 3-person Christian company and we can't get along. I'm a total failure. And we started the whole process. It was a mess. Brought in another lady that was very sweet. She stayed a long time. A year later, we were 7 team members. I was the CEO by then, the chief everything officer. By God, if it needed done, we did it. I set up chairs, I hauled books, I printed out invoices, I wrote all the checks by hand in those days. Wow. I was doing so much work. I was running in circles. I was a dog chasing its tail. I was a squirrel on the road that didn't know which side to get over. I was running like a rat in a wheel. I was on a treadmill. I'd come home from work after working my butt off for 16 hours, collapse on the couch, and my wife Sharon would say, "What'd you do today?" I have no idea, but I did a lot of it. You relate to that? Some of you are there right now, but some of you are just remember that stage of business very clearly. The treadmill operator feels like a rat in a wheel. All we're trying to do is just get payroll by Friday. We got to get the receivables in. We got to do cash on the barrelhead with some customers because, by God, we need the money in the door. Cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. I got 7 people counting on me to eat, and it's my job to produce enough revenue to make cash flow Friday happen. But what if you had a team that would actually help shoulder some of this? So the deal with this is, the treadmill operator, your focus is you got to get some of the work off your plate. Key problem for treadmill is this: too much of the business relies on you. The operations, the revenue production, too much of the business relies on you. So how do you break out a treadmill operator? You know, we're probably doing $1 million, $2 million a year top line, maybe even $3 million a year top line. But by God, I was just gutting all of it. I was just going in the street, killing stuff and dragging it in by myself. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all remember doing this, or some of you there right now. It all depends on you. You really don't even own a business yet. You just own your own job. It's kind of how it feels. Can't take a vacation. You can't get sick because the whole freaking thing stops if you do. So you got to level up out of this because it's really not sustainable. You try treadmill operator for 20 years, it just won't work, man. It's no fun at all. So you got to level up. How are you going to level up out of that? Well, the action plan, the key points to level up are this. You got to increase your time management. You've got to get in the business of delegation. You've got to delegate some of the revenue production. You got to delegate some of the production. You've got to delegate some of the operations, and you do that by hiring. You hire thoroughbreds that are team members that can actually do crap. They actually do their job, and their job is to take on part of the weight of this business. And as you're distributing the weight of the business off of your own shoulders, you're leveling up and you're moving out. And you got a budget for this, of course, because you got to pay these people. And thoroughbreds generally cost more than donkeys. Matter of fact, they always cost more than donkeys. The difference is they actually can win the Kentucky Derby, because donkeys are just donkeys. They're just a problem. So when I was in this stage, what it looked like was we had about 12 people, and I was doing a radio show 3 hours a day, I was teaching Financial Peace University with a bad suit and an overhead projector, and I was running the business. And so what it would look like is I come in the morning at 7 o'clock, and I work my tail end off until about noon, and then I would drive to the other side of town to the radio station that was carrying our radio show, and we were starting to broadcast it to a few other cities, and I would drive 35 minutes to the other side of town, do a 3-hour show, usually eating a pizza during the commercial breaks, and then drive back at 4 o'clock, go across the street to the Holiday Inn where we rented the ballroom to do Financial Peace University every night. They made us tear the room down and rebuild it every day because they might want to have a Kiwanis Club lunch in there. Probably not, but they did it anyways. We got a better price if we did all the labor. And so me and one of the other guys would go over, we would set up 300 chairs, we'd get that stupid snap thing on the screen, snapping those screens around, put that screen up. That thing would always pinch you. I had blood blisters forever. And then I had this overhead projector. Y'all remember those. If you don't, look it up. It's on the internet. In a bad suit and an overhead projector, I would teach for an hour and a half a Financial Peace University lesson. We would break out into small groups, 300 people, so we rented all the sleeping rooms on the first floor of the Holiday Inn every night, and we stood all the beds up against the wall, and everybody took their chair and went in and did a small group discussion in all the different sleeping rooms on the first floor of the Holiday Inn, and we had group leaders that led those groups. And then, of course, when the small groups were over, someone inevitably out of 300 people was in the middle of a crisis, and I would end up sitting down with some single mom or some couple whose marriage was on the edge and walking them through how to not get foreclosed on or how to not get repoed or how to not kill each other because they're so mad over the money stuff, and pray with them, drive home, collapse in the bed at 11:30 at night, and be in the office at 7 o'clock the next morning. And I did that every single day for 3 years. My wife said she was a single mom during that time. She was. I was never home. That was my treadmill stage. Then some guy comes in that's working for us and goes, "Hey, I saw this thing at my church, and these people had this class, and it was on video. It was on a VHS tape, and the class at church on Tuesday night, they put the VHS tape in, we watched the tape, and then we had a discussion. We've got to put this Financial Peace University on video because then it can go everywhere, because what you're doing is not sustainable. You can't keep doing this." Plus, we were doing this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and did a matinee on Saturday afternoon. We were doing 7 classes in 6 days, and he said, "This is not sustainable." And we've maxed out. They were all full. We logistically can't grow. We have to change the model. We have to change the format. And I'm like, I was so angry. I said, "You're absolutely full of crap." Let me tell you what happens. I'm on the stage. I'm the guy with the story. I'm the guy with the passion. I'm the guy, the jokes work because I'm in the room. The tears come because I'm in the room. They can feel it coming off of me. You put a video in, it's going to be starch. It's going to be stagnant. No one's going to get it. The life change is not going to occur. It's going to completely fail. This will not work. And he said, "Yeah, but you're just going to die, and then this whole thing's going to go away." We have to try something else. We can't grow anymore. Our revenues are maxed out. We're doing all we can do this way. You gotta try something, even if you think it won't work. And I'm like, "It will not work. You're just wrong." And he and I just argued and argued and argued. He goes, "You have to try some new technology. What we're using is not working." Sounds like me and Daniel Ramsey arguing today. We spent $7,246 in 2 weekends and shot the 13 lessons of Financial Peace University. In those days, that's what it was. And again, a bad suit and overhead projector captured on video. And we took those group leaders from the small group discussions in those hotel rooms and said, "Do any of you want to take these stupid VHS tapes with this hillbilly on them to your church and teach a class? I'll do the teaching and you guys can turn the video off and have a small group discussion." And 50 of them said yes. And I'll never forget walking in the back of one of these churches, and the thing's on the front of the screen, and there's 40 people sitting there watching it. They couldn't see me. I was behind them. And I cracked a joke, and these people laughed. And on the video, I said, if so-and-so happens, everybody, if that's you, raise your hand. And these goobers raised their hand. And I went, well, I was just wrong. This video crap is gonna work. And we ran 2 duplicating houses almost out of business because they were running 24 hours a day trying to keep up with us because it exploded our growth. And we stepped off the treadmill stage.